Hi, gay is not sin, and Jesus isn't asking the gay person to change and be straight. That's right, the Bible doesn't condemn gays. But there are plenty of things going on today that you should be more interested in than maybe condemning gays like so many of you do, even till today. We got so much information available, you could grab one of these things. You might need one of those things. And you could find all the information out basically in the world. If you're good enough, you could find out even more. And some people are good enough. We can read about things. It's a lot of fun out there because there are, 37,000 denominations. We're going to have a lot of variety of information that often is pointed in a direction based on one of these 37,000 Christian denominations. But there's plenty of stuff to look on these days. We got lots of information, not only using the keyboard on the internet, but we got lots of people out there doing a lot of research and getting on TV and telling us, and often they're not necessarily the syndicated television stations. They're pretty much going to be public access and things like that. You could, if you have something like that, you should watch them. Now, those of you that want to find some of these kind of TV programs and what time they come on, well, you're watching. Some of you are watching here in Seattle. Then you can go to you can even, no matter where you are, you can go to SeattleCommunityMedia.org and say there's a little choice up there. You can watch now, and then you get a list of programs that's on the air. Usually the title gives you an idea what the program's going to be about, and you could probably find something of people out there that are trying to give you information that normally you don't get. And of course you have part of the 37,000 denominations there coming on TV too. And then you got me coming on there and telling you a thing or two. And so you got a lot to figure out, but probably not much time anymore. Most people kind of agree we're that generation that's going to see Jesus return. But if we put a lot of that aside, which we're really not putting it aside, but just to see what's out there, in black and white and hardcore facts, or smoking guns and stuff like that, there's a lot of stuff. And it's not necessarily good. If we're thinking one side or the other is good in politicians and the government, how it's run, I mean, we may have some fun debating it and saying, I'm going to vote for this person or that person or the other person, and I don't agree with you because you want to vote for the one I don't want to vote for. So we're all debating the various candidates, so it's going to make a difference. So basically, when you vote for somebody, it's the style you want to go to the same end. If you're going to vote Republican, you're going to have their kind of a style of what they bring if they're in a leading situation. If you're a Democrat and you want Democrats, then you got a style of their progress in their leadership. And then you have still the both parties fighting each other. And if we're looking at this and saying, that's just what it is, you got the two factions basically, and you got some maybe independents in between, and they're just trying to work out things, and because one hates the other or something, sometimes not much get done. And this is kind of maybe a lot of you kind of think that's what government is about. But the reality of government is they're working together. Now sometimes we look at it, we say, how could they be working together? They seem to hate each other so badly. They're working together. The goal is the same. Get this world population down to about 500 million to 1 billion people, one way or another. Did you hear me? Get the population of the world down to 500 million to 1 billion. Now that's an awful lot of people that somehow has to be killed. And this is what they are trying to do. And there's so many informations, leads that you can follow to find some strong evidence and some smoking guns that who we think are nice leaders, or they're doing the best they can, or they're Christian, going to church, believing in Jesus and so forth. This is just not happening. You know, we like to hear how there's Al-Qaeda cells, sleeper cells here in America, waiting for the cue to go out and do some damage. And in the meantime, they're acting like one of us. They go to parties with us, they go to work, they play, they sometimes don't even dress in any kind of clothing that you can know that they're even Muslim or not. And then finally the day comes, and it's time for them to go out. But we got a problem with these kinds of things that they try to tell us. There's sleeper cells out there. Yeah, and you know who runs the sleeper cells? People like the CIA, or that's what's that? Mossad, Israel's secret agency, and various other ones. You know, like this thing, you know, it's kind of interesting. It was flipped on the TV last night. Wasn't expecting it, but here they're showing the photograph of that car, that black car that those people that went to shoot up that editor place. And this particular model and make of the car was thought to be a 2014, but it had the package of silver, shiny rearview mirrors. Well, after it's all said and done and everything, and we got the videos of them and pictures of it, you could see the silver package there, the chrome package, what do you want to call it, on the mirrors. And then later on we get in the news, they got the car, and now they're looking in the car and they find the driver's license or something. The problem is the picture of the car has black painted rear view mirrors and a different set of chrome wheels or wheel rims. And it was probably a 2013. So, you know, you got to kind of think of that. When you get the chance, try to follow that. See, oh, there's a nice shiny chrome-like rear view mirrors, and then the car that they got, and the black one. You know, then you could go online and you could search that particular model, and yes, they do have a chrome package in the 2014, and they have the otherwise ordinary black painting on the side view mirrors. That's it. Was I saying rear? They're side view mirrors I'm talking about. Well, small thing, but if you catch a few things like this along the line, you have to kind of wonder, who was it really that was doing these kinds of things? And we got lots of little events going around, and if you kind of sit back and look over the decades to the pattern of events, what this is getting us into, it's making us pretty fearful and more worried and more thinking we need somebody to save us from all of this, just like the Bible says. The world really wants some person to step in and say they could fix it all up, you know. Usually our 37,000 denominations of Christians say that's the Antichrist. He's going to say he can make it right. He could fix it. He can take care of all that. But something's got to be going to make us want this person. Decades ago, when we got people prophesying or whatever, so they think they were prophesying, saying that Antichrist is coming here or then or a few months or a couple of years or a couple of years ago he's come, whatever, you know, you're hearing all this kind, but we're not too fretful. We're not too worried. We don't need somebody to fix things yet. Some other countries, they're in kind of dire straits. They would like somebody to come over and fix things. But here in the United States, we don't want anybody. We like this idea of what we think the government is, you know. We think we got these freedoms to choose who we get elected and stuff like that. And we're not fretful yet. But over periods of time, we could see the pattern and trends. Something happens here, something happens there. The potential exists in a lot of these things that it could escalate. Could a problem over there in Syria make it happen? Well, we didn't want to go over there, and the leaders, no matter how much they want to get everything involved, they got to tend with the people. You know, we'll rise up maybe and stop them. And so they add a little thing to it. And it's kind of interesting because we got factual things that like Senator Kane went and talked to the leader of ISIS. Before he was the leader, he talked to him. He was just some maybe Syrian rebel type of thing. And they had conversation and something like that, and they got some video or pictures of it someplace along the line of Senator Kane doing with this. And of course, he denies that. He just says, well, I don't know. Of course I talk to people when I'm over there, and on and on and on. Well, anyway, it just so happens that later this guy becomes, as it were, he starts the whole program up for this ISIS thing. Coincidence? That's what you want to believe. And on and on and on we got these stories of things. And we also seem to want to forget there's something called the Bohemian Grove, where every year a bunch of leaders meet up there in California. And when you look at the people that are meeting there on a regular basis, you know, their annual thing there, they're all the leaders, Democrat and Republican and so forth and so on. And if somebody exposes them, sneaks in, you might be seeing the video that one nut out there, Alex or whatever, he actually got in there and took video and recorded their little ritual they did up there on video, and you can watch it. Of all these fantastic leaders we got here that we see on the news every day and everything, and some media persons Of course, they can't report it, but they're also members of that. But we don't care. We don't care that they go in there and they worship things or have ritual things that we can account to various gods of the Old Testament, of the Latin America ancient peoples, the Egyptians and so forth. They have all that. They got this symbol of an owl, which is supposed to be a destructive kind of god, and so forth. And in fact, they do a sacrifice in a fire. They throw an effigy into a person, and they throw the feet of this owl. Well, then it's kind of interesting. You say, you know, you've seen this kind of 100 times before, but now, as time goes on, you see a little bit more detail of how, for some reason, this owl thing is a pretty significant thing. And it does go back in a occultic type of worship all the way to the Egyptian days, the Mayan, Aztecs. Anywhere you want to go, you end up with this owl creature that's always in someplace in the picture. And apparently on a dollar bill, one of the years, they're changing all the way things look now, but at least there were in the corner, very small, there was an owl. So what, huh? But again, what are all of these people that are ruling us that we elect, thinking, oh, they'll listen to their words, they sound so nice. Oh, look, this guy says he's a Christian. Look, he goes to church, and he mentions these kinds of words. That sounds pretty Christian. One even said he's born again and everything. Well, how do you believe this kind of stuff? Christians don't go to Bohemian groves. They don't worship these types of other gods that we have smoking guns to, that we can see that they're actually going there and doing these things. You confront them on it, they might say it's nothing more than a symbol, we're just going there having some fun. Okay, if you want to believe that. Here's some guy that's always on CNN to help talk points, you know. You got this guy and this guy and this guy. They have a panel up there. Then the newscaster guy asks each one of them a certain question. They elaborate, and usually this one guy's always there, and it's kind of interesting to listen to how they speak with their authority, of their background knowledge and everything. It's kind of funny. This one person there was interviewed by, again, this Alex guy, so you can actually go and find that video and hear what that guy said. And you're kind of thinking, I'm sitting there every night or a number of times a week, month after month, year after year, listen to this guy use his opinion, and he said the things that he said about this Bohemian Club. It's kind of shocking to think that we're sitting here in our living rooms watching newscasters talk about their opinions of political things going on. What he thinks about that. And they seem knowledgeable on it. Of course they're knowledgeable. But then you can see something. I mean, they're the ones being videotaped. They're the ones answering the question. They're the ones that's getting pretty irate that this one guy snuck into the Bohemian Grove and videotaped, and including audio of their rituals. He just was not happy about that. And you'd see his behavior, and you're thinking, you're listening to somebody like that? So what's it all mean? You know, I can't even cover even the tip of the iceberg on how much involved not only the world but the United States in to what you still might be thinking you're a free person. But it's there. If you didn't think, I mean, if you're thinking that Jesus is going to come pretty soon, then you better believe also some of these things which you might say, oh, these are flaky, off the wall things. You can hardly listen to them because you'd rather believe a president saying he's a Christian than somebody saying that he's at Bohemian Grove worshiping an owl and Moloch and going according to these rituals, and out of the meeting comes world changes, and still they're going to come and say they're a Christian? No, they're faking it, just like they tell us that these hidden cells, Al-Qaeda cells, and now probably ISIS cells or whatever, lying in wait decade after decade, ready to make a move. They, the political leaders, are these cell groups pretending to be just like you, patriotic American, freedom-loving, rights-believing, and so forth. While all along they're back pushing different buttons and making different plans and going to certain meetings. Sometimes they're caught at it, and but they can deny it. And people, if you start looking into what's really going on, you can see grave sites that are being readied, mass grave sites, huge holes dug and put in these huge concrete containers that can hold gobs of people. Then they got these big plastic coffins by the millions to stuff people in, and then come over and dump in these cement block grave sites. You could see them just put in mass grave, empty grave. You'll see plenty of video on them, walking you through them, and they cover the top up, and you look pretty nice. And when it's time to start burying people, they scrape off the top, open the lid, start dumping people in. They're getting ready for something, and we want to sit here and say, if anybody talks about, they must be crazy. Or you might just say, well, it doesn't matter, I trust in Jesus. That's a really good saying, and it's true. You could trust in Jesus. He said if you believe in him, he will not take you out of his hand. Nobody can take you out of his hand. He'll never forsake you. There's only one person that can make you reject Jesus, and that's you. You can turn your back on Jesus. And the way things are going in the world, there are things about to happen that's going to shake you. You're going to say, why isn't I supposed to trust Jesus? And look what's happening. The trusting Jesus means you got eternity with him if you believe John 3:16. So you need to be ready, because the things that are going to happen just simply are not going to be fun. And you haven't had this kind of experience to find out what we've heard. Some pretty bad situations Christians been through, but we haven't heard nothing yet. Wait till you get to experience some of these things, and then see if you really do trust Jesus. If you don't know Jesus, turn to him right now and say, Jesus, I believe you're the Son of God, and that God rose you on the third day. Forgive me my sins and come into my life. Simple prayer gets you saved. Read the King James Bible. If you're going to read any other Bible, study Westcott and Holt. Find out who they are, because they're the ones that got your modern version in your hand. Ask Jesus to baptize you in the Holy Spirit. Find out about that by reading Acts chapter 2. You'll speak a different language that you don't understand. You'll make intercessory prayer. It gives you more power in the Spirit. Healing is for today. It didn't go away. It's for today. You got a place of pain. Come on now, touch that place right now. Yes, reach out. Reach out to a friend or a family in their behalf, to their pain. Got that now? In the name of Jesus. be healed. See you next time.